Good afternoon, everyone. So this week I have another great guest to interview. Today I'm talking with Lindsay. How do you pronounce your last name?
Halsey.
Okay, Lindsay has a background in nursing, and she's a regional sales director for Care Cycle Solutions, which is a company that helps chronically ill patients stay in their homes. And in addition, she also has an online program called The Faster Way to Fat Loss by Lindsay, which incorporates high-intensity interval training, carb cycling, and intermittent fasting. So today I wanted to talk to Lindsay about what exactly intermittent fasting is and how it can help you to look and feel your best. So thanks so much for watching us today. For those of you that are watching the replay, my name is Dr. Jennifer Hessler, and I'm a naturopathic doctor and a mom to almost 4. And I'm passionate about helping women to more easily incorporate healthy eating, regular exercise, and stress management into their lives so that they can look and feel their best. So Lindsay is going to now talk to us about intermittent fasting and how it can help improve your metabolism and your body composition. So thanks so much for joining me, Lindsay.
Thank you for having me.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add to the intro that I didn't cover already?
No, I think you did a great job. And as you said, I do have a background in nursing, which is why I'm so passionate about the health and wellness industry. And I currently work with the geriatric population. And so I'm seeing all of the diseases that are preventable on a daily basis. And so that's what's really drawn me into what I'm doing, seeing what I can do for myself in the community in regards to preventative health, which has also led me into becoming a certified Faster Way to Fat Loss coach.
Which is so great, for sure. Like exercise and what we eat are a huge foundation for our overall health. Lots of other things can pop up, but that goes a long way to helping to make a big difference.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree.
So can you explain to us the concept of intermittent fasting?
Yes, absolutely. So intermittent fasting is not a diet, it's an eating schedule, and it's not where you don't eat. So we're all either in a fed or a fasted state. That is science. That's not my opinion. So in the fed state, our body is releasing insulin that hinders our body's ability to burn fat. And while we're in the fasted state, our bodies have time to heal and go through cell regeneration and then also burn that extra layer of fat. So there's several different protocols of intermittent fasting, and the one that I focus primarily on with the Faster Way to Fat Loss is the 16-8 protocol, where you fast for 16 hours and maintain an 8-hour feeding window where you actually get all of your calories that your body needs to fuel itself within that 8-hour window.
So you're still eating like the total number of calories that your body needs. You're just changing the time frame of where you're consuming them.
Right, exactly. And most of the time that you're fasting, I heard this put very well by a fellow Faster Way to Fat Loss coach, and she said that if you can think of it as fasting really for only 5 hours, because most of the time that you're fasting, you're actually sleeping. So then you wake up and then you're fasting for 5 hours and then you start your eating window. So once you kind of break it down into those little increments, it really helps you wrap your mind around the idea of intermittent fasting.
So how long have you been doing it for?
So I have been doing intermittent fasting since January, and I have seen major changes internally and externally. Internally, people that do intermittent fasting, they're going to start to find that they're sleeping a lot better because you end your eating window usually around 8 p.m., 6 or 8 p.m. And so you give your body that time to digest their food. And so while you're sleeping, your body's not having to work and digest all that food. It actually is already digested, and you can rest and you can actually sleep and heal your body while you're sleeping. And so yeah, as far as the sleeping, I have tons more energy. And then I've never really been somebody that has been toned. I've worked out my whole life. I've played sports, did soccer. I had muscle, but I never had that muscle definition. And it's because I could never burn that layer of fat that was over my muscles. So when I would work out, I would feel like I was bulking because I was, building muscle underneath my fat. And then with intermittent fasting, it has helped me to be able to burn that fat layer and see more muscle definition.
That's great. And I think it's important for people to know too, it's not about like just bulking up for a fitness competition or anything like this. I mean, you look like a pretty normal female physique.
Right. Yeah,
It's just a
definitely.
matter of, yeah, getting different types of results from eating your food differently.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
And is there an ideal feeding window, or is that sort of up to the individual to choose when they want those 8 hours to fall or 6 hours?
So it's really up to the individual. You know, this is meant to be a lifestyle. So if you are somebody here with me personally, my husband during the summer, he's working later hours and I like to cook dinner and eat with him. So I want my 8 hour window to be where I can at least have dinner with him. And so sometimes that might be 7 or 8 at night. And so I will begin my eating window around noon. And that gives me the 6 to 8 hours to consume all of my calories within that window. I have ladies that are going through the faster way to fat loss who definitely need to eat breakfast, or they have to wake up at 6:30 in the morning and they need that fuel to get them through. And so they can absolutely start their feeding window at, 7 in the morning or 9 in the morning, and then they would just end their feeding window a little bit sooner. So maybe around like 3 or 5, which that really isn't bad. A lot of people do eat dinner around like 5 or 6. And so they could begin their eating window around 9 or 10. So it's
Right.
really what's going to fit into their lifestyle, what works best for them to make it, again, a lifestyle and not just a quick fix or a fad.
And do you find people have to gradually like sort of get used to the idea of having the feeding window, or can they go from, the regular daytime hours of eating and all of a sudden wait until noon to have their first meal?
No, I mean, I definitely feel like your body gets used to you waking up and having that breakfast because that's what we've been told by the industry for all of these years, that you have to wake up and eat breakfast immediately or you're going to slow your metabolism, which is not true. So since your body's used to that, initially you're going to kind of feel those hunger pains. But I just recommend slowly shortening your feeding window. So if you usually eat at 7, maybe hold off until 8 the next day, and then maybe 9, and then just gradually close it. And then you'll realize like, oh my gosh, I've been going since I woke up this morning. It's already noon and I need to break my fast. And so it gets a lot easier. But I recommend easing into it and going slow.
All right, that makes sense. Do some people find it quite challenging at first, or do people usually like, how long does it take them to sort of get into that comfortable zone?
It kind of varies. I would say that maybe about 10% of my ladies really comment saying like, oh, I'm just, I'm really hungry, or it's at nighttime when they're hungry because they're used to snacking. And so because they're, used to snacking and then they end their feeding window at 8, they start to feel hungry a lot sooner. So
Right.
maybe about 10% of the ladies that have gone through my program struggle just a little bit, but after once they feel that change and feel that energy and they start getting that rest that they haven't slept that well in forever. I mean, I have ladies who have 2-month-old babies and they're saying like, I haven't slept that well in 2 months or 6 months, however long it's been since their baby was born. So that's just so amazing to hear their testimonies to just being able to sleep better. Like we could all use more sleep.
Sure. Absolutely. Good sleeps are huge.
Yeah.
And why is it that intermittent fasting helps with fat burning and muscle building?
So again, when we're eating, our bodies are releasing insulin. And so your insulin levels spike every single time you eat, which makes it extremely hard for your bodies to burn fat. And so when you're in that fasted state, your body's not continuously spiking its insulin. And so you don't have as much insulin in your body, which makes it better able to burn fat. And then as far as the muscle building, when you're fasting, your body actually releases a hormone called HGH, the human growth hormone. And so that's what helps to build that lean calorie burning muscle. So intermittent fasting plays a huge role in just leveling your hormone levels within your body.
Right. Which definitely I would say clinically is a big issue for a lot of people, like insulin resistance or eating diets that create a really high insulin production is a big reason why people end up with, I mean, ultimately it could be type 2 diabetes, but for sure, It affects thyroid function, adrenal function, the other reproductive hormones. It can be a big reason why people have a hard time burning that body fat and losing weight. When I do body composition testing on patients, it's not uncommon if people have been exercising regularly. I see they've got a really good muscle mass, but their body fat percentage is still like much higher than what is optimal, which is a key sign that they've got that insulin resistance going on. So I think this sounds like a great tool for people to be able to see if that can, be the missing link. And how do you determine how many calories a person should be consuming in their feeding window? Is that sort of a process of trial and error, or do you give them guidelines?
And so we do have an app that we use. And so what it's going to do is it's going to put in their height, their weight, their age, male or female. And so depending on that, it will help us decide, what their macros need to be, their carbs, fats, or proteins, which make up all of the calories. And so depending on what that comes back at, we'll kind of adjust it. If they are like, wow, that's way too many calories, I'm just not able to eat that much, we might cut it back so that they can help to reach their goals too.
Right. Is that MyFitnessPal that you use?
Yeah.
It's a great app. Yeah. And I find that's another thing, like even before people have done intermittent fasting, it's a useful tool to look at what your macronutrients are, because many people are over consuming carbohydrates and not eating enough of those healthy proteins and fats, which are also required to be able to build muscle.
Right. So, I think with MyFitnessPal, there's so many people that are using it, but they're just looking at the calories. And then they're also looking at, calories in, calories out. Like, oh, it says I exercised and burnt 500 calories, so now I can eat 500 more calories. And so a lot of people don't know that there actually is that macronutrient tab that you can go and look at to make sure that you are getting exactly how many carbs you need, exactly how much protein and healthy fats, because a lot of people will be like, oh, I hit my calorie goal today, but they had Laffy Taffy all day long, so they ate a bunch of carbs and sugars. So it's extremely important for people who are already using the MyFitnessPal to go and find that macronutrient tab and make sure that they're staying within their limits.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have lots of people or not lots, but often in the online group, people will say, well, how many calories is this meal? Like the calories is kind of like, we don't want to be grossly under consuming or over consuming, but it's more what we're eating than it is how many calories we're eating. Because like you said, you can eat 1,500 calories of all grain-based carbohydrates, and probably those people aren't going to lose any weight at all. So yeah, it's really important to make sure that it's the right types of foods. And then the feeding window is sort of the next step too, is to see what effect that has on helping to regulate the blood sugar and the insulin.
Right.
So where can people learn more about your approach to fitness if they're interested?
So I am on Instagram and Facebook, and so I usually post in my Instagram stories how I break my fast. I go in more detail on there about like intermittent fasting, carb cycling, what workouts I do. So Instagram is a great place, and my handle is just at Lindsay Renee Fitness, and then also on Facebook as Lindsay Holsey. I do have a website. It's lindsayreneefitness.com. And I have all of the information about faster way to fat loss with Lindsay. I do have a free 7-day guide on there as well, as far as just kind of walking through what intermittent fasting is and carb cycling and recipes.
It would be great if we could post that in the comments of this interview, and then people can access that easily if they'd like to.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much. That was really informative. I know I learned some new things from it, and hopefully your people watching did as well. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Have a good weekend.
Okay, thanks. You too.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.